Morning Hollywood Hills fans, once again, as you can see, we are out on location for our second big shoot of the 2026 season. This time it's the opening round of Farm Jam, a brand new game farm out here on the outskirts of Limpopo, Lutsway Game Farm. Everyone's going to remember this one because history is being made here today. Over 350 riders across the juniors, ladies, all of the pro, amateur, novice, everyone is going to be out here. We've got tons and tons of talent. Everyone is trying to rip the bars off and get a little handle on the championship going forward into the rest of the season. The morning session is going to be focused on the juniors and the ladies. So let's go and do a track walk and a pit walk and catch up with some of the big swingers. Here we're farm jamming once again, and it is a stacked gate and a massive entry, record entry in fact, here for the first round.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's so good to see so many entries, and it's so nice. Can't wait. It's going to be a bit of a hectic day, but I think it's going to be fun.
Maddie, last year your first full season of Farm Jam, so you learned a lot, but this year, stack gate.
Yeah, this year I'm stepping it up. I'm planning on doing impy bronze and roof bronze, so just have to put all my efforts in, get it going as hard as I can, just getting all that energy out, trying to run it down.
Ethan, we're here at the first round of Farm Jam. How are you feeling coming into this race?
Feeling very nervous and very excited.
Ian, feels like ages since we've been on the gate for a Farm Jam. How much time have you actually put in to get ready for this one?
Not a lot of time. Got the bike at the start of the year.
What about the competition? So many riders on the gate this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition, but I hope I win it, and it looks like it's going to be a wet one.
As always with Farm Jam, exceptional marking throughout the track. But of course, when you get to the split points, the big markers are here. So there's going to be a marshal here at the road crossing, and this is where you make your choices, whether you're going to be a junior, senior, pro. It's going to take you right or left. Now we get into the rocks and the copy. At that split point on the road, we kick off with climbing the ladders for our 50cc races. They were out on a slightly smaller version of the track and looked after by the chaperone. Sometimes those boots just don't stay on. Owen McKay managed to get his boot back on and get himself into a top 5 run. He was climbing the ladder up to and getting into the numbers. Kotso Hein, always going to be one of the superstars out there, and he's starting to make a name for himself to get onto those numbers every single time he goes out. The big swingers inside the top 3. Ethan Preston, a rider to watch out for. He came on strong at the end of last season's Farm Jam, and he's one of those kids that's going to grow out of that bike towards the end of the season. But for now, the power to weight ratio is absolute pinpoint perfect. Number 3 spot for him. Second place, and the man that was runner-up in last year's championship stays on the 50cc gate for Bikers Warehouse, the factory Husqvarna superstar that is Blake Kruger. He had a ding-dong battle, was in the conversation and in the fight all the way through, but he had to settle for a number 2 spot on the day. But he's a championship player and a championship runner. Out front, though, it was Stella De Siena, the first time we've seen a lady on the top step for a very long time, and the first time in Farm Jam we've seen a 4-stroker take the win.
I really didn't think I'd make it to the podium. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get second or third. I really didn't expect to get first. I'm so happy. This is my first trophy. This is my 4th race. We did some training at Rhino Park.
Stella absolutely buzzing, a star of now and a star of the future. Climb the ladder now into the junior 65. So once again, there were well over 20 riders on the gate. Lucas Irwin cracked his way inside the top 5. A lot of these riders making their first year up of the twist and goes and starting to click the gears. One of those riders was a rider that nailed down a championship in the past on the 50cc gate. We didn't see him last year. This year, big Ian van Rensburg is back clicking the gears for SBR Racing, and he gets himself up into a top 4. Just ahead of him, in third place, Miguel Van Tonda, a name that we're familiar with, and a rider that looks oh so comfortable on the Husky Banana. It's going to be a big threat. They were all bunched together nicely in the early stages of the event as well, and that was what the Farm Jam was all about. Some great racing and camaraderie out there. CS Van Kirk up the road into a number 2 spot and very nearly walking away with the victory at the end of it. But there can only be one champion, Milan Roux. So much talent, he's come through the junior ranks, made his way up onto the 65s, and this will be his first full attack on that tour. And then from massive numbers to relatively small numbers, a small gate on the Pro 65s, where Jordan Daly got himself into a number 3 spot on the 24 machine. Ahead of him was one of the most entertaining riders out there on the gate at the moment. Known in the industry as Klein Shane Nienaber, number 2 spot for him, and he will be a massive threat for the title. He runs eye-watering pace. This time around though, number 2 spot, and we caught up with Shane after the race.
It's a very fun track. It's very rocky and twisty, but it's very fun.
But there has to be a winner, and this time around it was a new winner. Historically a motocross and cross-country racer, his first time out at the Farm Jams. Ulrich Sturley on the factory Yami gets the job done. Big win. We climb the ladder and continue to go up the rankings. This time around it's going to be our junior 85 races, where we start climbing the ladder right smack bang on the number 5. Campbell Dupree, one of the superstars of the sport, coming on good into a number 5. Some big kids on the gate as well. Janko de Penel was up there getting a number 4 ride, and Riley Skipper's always so good throughout the season. He starts off with a modest number 3 ride on the 55 gas machine. Watch out for him to climb the ladder throughout the season. The top runners inside the top 2 from Tag Time Racing. Joshua Shearer gets a great start to his campaign, showing that he's been putting in the off-season training. Number 2 spot is a great way to kick things off. But at the top step, Gustav Van Kirk, an incredible run, 4 laps under his belt, just under 2 hours of racing, and he is the points leader heading to round number 2. We caught up with a winner after the race.
It was pretty good, lot of turns, really tight, but yeah, it was really fun.
85 pros out onto the big course. That is the big 22K, and Gabriel Daly was looking good. He was right up there with the big dogs. A stall out, and he lost a ton of time, and that meant traffic was going to be coming past him. But a top 5 is a very strong start to his campaign. Alonso Ashadina, very famous for a rock-hopping style of riding, more technical than all the rest of the riders, but he can swing off the back as well and find the gears. He'll be happy with a number 4 ride also. Jean-Luc van der Veste is our onboard cameraman. Got the big hole shot, tucked it super early on in the lap, and then count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he slots into a number 5, so straight out into traffic. JL from Vans Racing, getting picked up by Fox Apparel this year, climbed the ladder and got himself up into a top 3. The pace is there. Vulco Deploy, the powerhouse, coming out of Pick and Pay Racing, once again up there as a championship runner, stayed on the lead lap and only lost out on the race by a mere 2 minutes. Second place for Big Vulco. But the big win on the day, Andreas Schiepers has set his stall out nice and early, dominating the laps. He had a perfect run of form, and the 50-50 split on the track suited him down to the ground.
Really found the pace late on in the race and made the move on the last lap on Vulco, and yeah, it was a really good race. Fitting my riding style, the track was for me, it was really nice.
All the juniors home and the moms can catch their breath. It was, of course, we were racing on Valentine's Day as well, and we've got some great stories about the ladies. 16 new ladies coming to race with us at Farm Jam, the ladies novice category, giving us massive numbers and great hope for the future. Everyone got a chance to understand how the track was running, how to get themselves waxed and ready for the rest of the Farm Jam Racing Tour. Zaria de Klerk was inside of that magical top 5, but for many of the novice ladies, it was about learning and understanding and just having some great fun out there. Chanzel Paxton got herself into a position for a number 4, with Shiloh Legger getting into a number 3, and the big swingers getting 3 laps under the belt into second place was Layla Klopper But the big win, with 4 laps counted, was Rachel de Cavello. Little bit of shopping with our friends, the Spiders out there. There were plenty of those, and it was a number 5 going in the way of Maddie Gowdy. She knows she's going to be in a race this year as well, but she's worked on her technical riding, and she goes on board to show us what it looked like through Super Tube. A lovely section here at Farm Jam, nice and early in the lap. A little bit greasy, but real good flow, and that's what everyone said. It was easy enough to get through, as long as you didn't get hung up on one of the trees. The Frampton sisters will be always in the mix this time around. Tyler getting it done into a number 4. She was in a massive fight all day long with Zaria Farie. In fact, Farie, for most of the day, was the meat in the Frampton sandwich. It was going to be Nikita Frampton that would eventually win out and get ahead of Zaria Farie. So Nikita Frampton, the closest rival for the big chase. And she showed that form last year as well in the 2025 championship. So we'll keep an eye on the ever-evolving series for the ladies. But that's second place, which means it is the return of the Queen, and in new colors as well. She stays with ANCAT Racing, moves across onto Beaters for some fresh machinery, and riding under the colors of Russell Campbell Racing, Catherine Mostert, another win. Queen, tell me about FJ1. That was a big one.
It was really, this loop was so nice, lots of twists and turns, like a rocks, lurkers that came out of nowhere. But the beta was feeling amazing. Thanks to everyone supporting us. It was really a good track. Well done, Farm Jam.
So that's the juniors and the ladies done for the morning session. And before we go into the afternoon race, last week me and the boys went out and checked up on one of the new powerhouse teams lining up for Farm Jam in 2026. We went and chatted to the main man himself, the legend, Russell Campbell.
I think we're going to go big at the Farm Jams. We've already got, I think, 22 bikes under our gazebos at the Farm Jams. And yeah, we got to promote the sponsors and put something back into the sport and give the riders something back so it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg to go racing. Catherine, the Queen, she was the first sponsored rider. Yeah, it's because we've got a couple of guys that we're helping out with bikes. So our ages range from 11, who's Jake Haynes, I'm not sure what class he's going to enter. And then I think the oldest guy is going to be my dentist, Mark, who's going to be about 67 years old. Andre and them from NCAT, they've done amazing things on the beaches for us, and yeah, so we basically got all the classes covered. So we should get podiums on pretty much every class.
So good luck to Russell Campbell and his Beta Racing squad. We're going to keep an eye on them going forward into the afternoon. Before we go into racing though, let's go into the pits and do our walk around and see what the vibe is to get ready for the first big show. I'm standing here and it feels like the World Championships, dude.
Dude, it's probably the biggest field in S1 Pro class in any year. I don't know, there's so many guys here, so many good guys here. I think it's going to be a hell of a race.
Have you ever seen a lineup like this?
I haven't seen this at all in a very long time. I'm very excited for today. I checked the track out on the way in. It looks pretty cool. Well, not pretty, it looks really amazing. It rained a bit last night, so I think the track, there won't be too much dust, and I think it's just going to be a jolt.
Donnie, you got a season off, so you get to play with the bikes, but how big does this feel, man?
It's unbelievable. You know, it's magic to see how healthy their sport is. And, you know, it's fun to be on a gate again in 8 years' time. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
2 minutes to clear the corral, please. 5 laps road race. So on Farm Jam over the years, the biggest feature has been the inclusion of the Chilean ice cream splits. There's going to be plenty out here at round number 1, and this is the first of them. After a lot of grassland, flatland, and kind of like third and second gear, working your way through and warming yourself up, you drop down into Chilean ice cream split number 1. For the Chile guys, it's going to be a drop down into the riverbed, along the riverbed, and straight back out. That's going to be a saving of maybe 10 to 15 seconds. And for the ice cream guys, they'll be out on the flatlands a little bit longer, and then a very simple straight splash, straight in, straight out, no turning around, where you get the boots just a little bit wet. We'll pick up on the novice category, but let's talk about the new for now. Adventure category races. Going out there on the track that the juniors had opened up in the morning session, and we had a plethora of different adventure and road legal bikes going on out there and having their first taste of Farm Jam racing. Daniel, Bieram, Kruger, Moran, Brouwer, Matt Gregory was up there, and then the first big win going to the Honda of Devon Smith. Great to have the adventure guys join us at the big show that is FJ. And continuing with the theme as well, the Mean Greenies, 17 riders strong, showing that everyone wants to come and be part of the big party. We're hoping to see more growth with this, and next year they'll be moving on up into their categories. Swat Tablanche, Mario Swanepoel, and JJ Duvall from VW MasterCars, a cross-country specialist, his first time out at the Farm Jams, understanding how to go a little bit lower in the gearbox. The novice categories was a story on the day, where across 3 of the categories, in S3, S2, and S1, we had over 100 riders just on the novice gate, showing that this is where you start your Farm Jam journey. But there's always going to be a winner. S3 novice this time around, Carl Joubert had the Yamaha hooked up and smoking, and actually had some pace that showed that he could move up a couple of categories on the gate. We'll see what he's going to go in for in the rest of the season. In the S2 novice category, Sean van Rensburg, SVR, back fighting fit and ready to take on a championship. It was a number 2 spot for him against 25 of the very best on his category. A winner, though, in S2 novice went to Dean Reynolds. The number 19 was absolutely dialed in there, and he chased up and took the scalps of many of the big bangers on the S1 novice gate. That was our biggest category of the afternoon session, where we saw 40 of the very best riders going and getting it done. Rory Davey joined us once again, bringing back the old 300 and getting the 300 up into a number 3 on the podium. Brandon Slabbert was a number 2 on the N4, and it was Kobus van Krayenburg that got it done and took the win, dominating the monster gate. Amateur categories were busy also. S3 amateurs giving us 9 riders going and climbing the ladders and getting it done out there. Remember, these guys were the second wave going out in the afternoon, so plenty of ruts to follow and understanding how the track was going to be running out there. Daniel Elof got himself into a number 3 spot with the 944 of Bjorn Barnard, getting it done up into a number 2 ride. The talent coming through Farm Jam at the moment is eye-watering. The perfect mixture of cross-country and enduro, and Farm Jam Hare Scramble sits right in the middle. A couple of seasons focusing on downhill racing, and Joubert van Niekerk now finds himself as the championship leader in S3 amateurs coming out of the opening round. S2 amateurs was going to be a wild day at the office. 15 of the very best and a lot of potential champions out there. We had Stefan Labuskakny on this gate and Junior Christie, both big threats, but both finishing outside the top 5 at the opening round. Mikey Irwin was a number 5, Sebastian Winslow into a number 4, with MJ Bester doing a very good job of work to get himself up there. A lot of the riders saying the best positions came out of getting a real good hook off the gate. Scott Breitenbach was the best of the rest on the number 33, but Michael Elof on the Yami 316. Perfect day at the office for him. Styling all the way to the front. And then the biggest gate of the amateurs gave us the S1 Big Bangers. A little bit of bunching at the beginning of the day, but it's spaced out throughout the 3-hour program. The big swingers making their way inside of the top 5. Heenan was on the 69 into a number 5 spot with Leonard Merchant on the 690. He had a very good run and flow and also stayed on the lead lap, 4 laps under his belt. Matthew Reynolds, Matty, on the 224, got himself up to a number 3 with Timo Topfer. Watch out for this kid. Style for miles. Looked super comfortable on this tech terrain on a pretty much motocross setup bike, but with a lot of technical skill and a lot of experience now under his belt. The 504 of Luke Battersby is your points leader coming out of this round. They say that we're living longer nowadays with modern technology, and the Grand Masters gate is proof of that. 25 racing bullies out there smashing bars and enjoying their time at the FJs. And we're no doubt going to see some new blood as well. A couple of riders aging out as well, moving forward into this category. Marty Poole was a number 5, Anton Moret into a number 4. Big Otto Horlocker was to 3rd place, and Sean Lamb, a new result, getting up into 2nd spot. Great to see the big Otto swinging it off the 750. Lamb was there, chasing him down on the flatland sections as well on the 777. But there's always going to be one big threat on this gate. This time around, Kirky had his hands full though, because Lamb had his number for most of the race, matching his lap times. But eventually the cream rose to the top for fast racing on the gas machine. And worried about denting that spectacular clean pipe, Sean Captain Kirk on the 79 takes his first ever Grand Master win. Phew, he was happy with that one. Into the Masters gate, where once again over 30 of the very best went out there in his first ever FJ. Antoine van der Walt came back to racing and loved his time in the saddle with the number 5. Grant Usher, who likes it super tech, but he can flow and find the gears when he wants to as well. He was up the road into a number 4. Sean Mitchell, who made a name for himself at last year's FJ Tour, one of the main dudes out of CF Moto. The entire family were out there, and Mitchell will be a big threat on the 911 machine as he starts off his campaign with a number 3 ride. We've already seen the Lighty do wonderful things on the 50cc gate in the morning session. Now time for Big Daddy to get it done. Mario De Siena, 2nd place, his best ever ride on the FJs. But there is no fighting against the thunder that is insane Wayne Farmer, the captain and the team principal of Bikers Warehouse Racing Factory Husqvarna. Farmer, top step once again. We caught up with the madman after the event.
Buenos, Valentine's Day, puppy love, but standard option results from Farmer.
Yeah, new addition to the family. Special puppy love. But yeah, no, it was awesome out there today. You know, we put the hammer down at the start because I thought it was going to be hectic. Got a good start and we just pushed. So we were just chasing everyone in front of us today, and it was really cool. But yeah, well done to Leon and the team again. It was hectic with so many riders on there. And yeah, we made it through. We got to the finish and win one piece.
Farmer and the puppy love, Valentine's Day, there's a link there somewhere. Into the seniors then, and once again, well over 30 riders on the queue. Dustin Culverwell on the 81 got it into number 5. Jan the Man, Jannie Potgieter, normally swinging off the back of a big 5 honey, got out there on a 300 smoker. Not too great on the rocks, but still very good on the fitness. 4th place was the best that he could do. Stayed on the lead lap though. 3rd spot and comfortable on the thumper. Another rider coming out of Bikers Warehouse on the Husqvarna, Fergie McAdam, points in the pocket for 3rd. Normally on the spanners, every now and again they let him out of the workshop. For Roost KTM, Vernon Lowe on the 979, very happy with his day in the saddle, and he won't have minded taking 2nd place because it was a real good butt of his taking the win. Kochilicious, Marco Kochi for Shimwell's Racing Yamaha, hasn't been on the bike in almost 3 months on the little 250, normally on the big 450. Happy to come out to FJ and hammer the nail once again to win out in the seniors. The pro category was eye-watering. So many of the riders saying this was like the World Championships, National Championships, and AMA Supercross wrapped up into one. The talent ran deep. Ben van Skalkwyk was up there into a number 4. He's going to be a tough rider to break out of that top 5. A good bud of his now moving up into the bigger categories for Pick and Pay Racing and 60 helmets. Werner Kleinams gets his name into the top 3 numbers. Watch out for him as he gets faster and stronger throughout the season. His teammate and very good friend, and the tone of the exhaust tells you what he is on. Heinrich Aust, number 2 spot for the reigning National Enduro Champion. Everyone came out to play at the opening round of the FJs. But the rider up the road from him was a massive talent as well. Former multiple Enduro champion, they call him the Badger. Matt Stevens, first time out at FJ, wins out his category in S3 Pros and takes the overall on the day. I think he was pretty happy with that.
Tell me about the track and obviously what you're expecting, because you like it slow and tech, and this is busy.
Well, yeah, as you said, I am a hard enduro boy, but I don't mind stepping out of my comfort zone. But to be completely honest, it was a little, I don't want to say it was faster than I was expecting, but definitely more flowy. I was definitely expecting it to be a lot more like a straight into tight corner, straight tight corner. The whole track was like third gear, wah, like just like drag the brakes, hit that run, and wah. It was like hanging. There were a couple of like straight into tight corners that can catch you up, but it was really flowing quite fast, but it was so much fun. Really, it was a lot of fun.
Well done to Matty on his first win. Big Gav Young fell from a long way up there, the tallest, rangiest rider, and he eventually would recover to a number 5 on the Shimwell's Smoker, Y Zinger. Good ride for Gav Young as well, just beating out on Unruh Mostert. Up the road from him was a big fire-breathing 4-stroke, the very rare Beta 390. Good run of form for Veries as well on the 619, bringing it up the road and chasing down some big numbers. Callan Broski, love this rider. Enduro, Supercross, Supermoto, Superbikes, anything with a set of handlebars, this guy can swing off the back. Cool to have him out there. He had a massive fight all day long. Himself and Tyron Peltzer were maybe not going to have a bribe for a while after this one, because it got quite wild. Broski into a number 3, Tyron Peltzer into a number 2. Peltzer was the best of the rest though, because everyone was chasing onto the back wheel of the wildest rider on the FJ Tour. Still looks like he is swinging an 85 around out there. Stian van der Heever, hard to beat and hard to keep in a straight line. He takes another win in S2 Pros. And into the big bangers. And there were some absolute monsters out there. Devastator brought his big factory 450 Yami out there and climbed the ladder into a top 5. Paul Krobler, a former FJ champion, was up there racing to a number 4 spot, showing that even former champions have to bow down to the speed of the lighties. One of the big threats for this season's championship, once again, will be Kai Liblinkoff. The kid coming across the border from Namibia to come race the FJ Tour exclusively was good enough to get onto the top 3 steps. Second place, though, was a massive fight. Kobus Bester and Matt Wilson forming a new team this year for Bandit Graphics Racing, and it was a toss of the coin who was going to take the victory this time around. Eventually, Bester had to settle for a number 2 spot with a couple of bogey laps, which meant Matty Wilson on the double 8 is the first FJ S1 Pro winner at round number 1. Beautiful terrain for the riders to really dance around on and celebrate victory come the flag.
For a World Championships of Farm Jam, how gnarly was that one?
Yeah, no, I haven't been to a race where there's been so many races since I think like 2018. So really cool. I'm glad for Leon and the whole Farm Jam crew that they were able to get so many people, and the event was perfect. I mean, nothing went wrong. I really thoroughly enjoyed the track. The back markers weren't even too bad. So no, it was really, well, Farm Jam, I'm stoked with how today went.
How much talent was on those first 3 lines?
Yeah, no, the track was very nice. I'll give that to Leon and Ron. It was a very lucky track, and the rain just made it better. And then the first 3 laps, I thought, the first lap when I stopped to get some paintballs, I just saw everyone coming past, man. I knew this is going to be a long day.
So round number 1 of Farm Jam in 2026 is in the bag. An event that's going to go down in history as an absolute banger. Huge numbers coming in. It shows that the world of off-road Hare Scramble Racing is in good shape and everyone is keen as mustard to go racing and get ready for round number 2. Stay with us as we continue the Farm Jam journey, and thanks for watching this episode of Hollywood Hills.